Here's an engaging, emotional story based on the title you shared. Single dad janitor helped Billionaire's paralyzed twins speak. What she saw left her in tears. She walked into that sterile hospital room expecting the same cold silence she had heard for months. 2 identical beds, 2 still bodies, twin girls, paralyzed, trapped behind a wall of silence. Nurses came and went, specialists changed shifts, expensive machines beeped, gave readings, monitored vitals. But their voices never returned. Their mother, a wealthy woman used to control and luxury, stood by helpless, willing to pay anything, but nothing could bring her daughters back to her. Until the janitor came. A quiet janitor, a radical change. Ethan Roberts could have stayed invisible. A single father working the night shift at the hospital, cleaning floors, emptying trash bins, pushing mops, the kind of invisible labor society rarely noticed. He had his own struggles, a little girl at home who looked up to him, bills to pay, and no time for dreams. Yet every shift, as he walked past that twin girl's room, he paused. Something about the stillness bullied his heart. Maybe it was his daughter, or maybe just human empathy, but he couldn't walk away. He started speaking softly from the hallway. Small greetings, gentle words, even jokes about trash cans and mop buckets, hoping their broken world might respond somehow. At first, nothing, just silence, the wandering echoes of his broom against the tiles. But then one night, he knelt beside one bed after his shift ended. No cleaning, no duty. Just him. He gently held the first girl's hand, her skin so cold, so fragile. He whispered, "You don't have to talk yet. I just want you to know you're seen. You're not alone." He didn't demand anything. No pressure. Just presence. The first whisper, a glimmer of hope. Days passed. Nothing changed. Then one afternoon, he returned again. Sat by the bed, soft hum of a lullaby, something he remembered singing to his daughter. At first, the twins didn't move. But slowly, one of them raised her head. Her eyes, distant and hollow for so long, flickered. Recognition, uncertainty, he couldn't tell. He just smiled gently, kept talking, kept waiting. And then, a sound, a faint breath, a tremor in her lips. He froze. Her mother rushed in seconds later, dressed in designer clothes, her face pale with anxiety and grief. She gasped at the sound. Tears welled up. The second girl, hearing the whisper, tried too, perhaps mimicking, perhaps wanting the same magic. Not for Ethan, not for himself, for each other. And in that moment, the mother realized what no doctor had done. The warm humanness, the devotion, the belief. She fell to her knees, softly crying, not out of sorrow anymore, but shock, gratitude, awe. Battles behind the miracle. But the journey didn't end with that first whisper. The hospital staff warned him, "You're not a therapist. Stay out." The doctors said it was a fluke. Overworked nurses shook their heads. The mother, torn between disbelief and hope, began to question, could real healing come from a janitor? And then came outside judgments. Neighbors saw a hospital cleaner talking to locked-in girls. Some thought he was weird. Others imagined scandal. For the wealthy mother, public opinion mattered. She feared rumors, judged herself for trusting the help. For Ethan, the pressure and self-doubt threatened to crush him. What if this was all in his head? What if the girls simply reacted to noise or heartbeats, not to him? What if he ruined everything for them? Persistence, patience, and tiny breakthroughs. Nevertheless, Ethan persisted. Every night after work, he sneaked back softly. He read fairy tales with no expectation, pages whispering under dim lights, his voice low, calm. He learned one twin liked soft humming, the other responded to gentle tapping of small rhythms on the bedframe. He tried colors, music, whispered stories of stars and the sea, of hope and warmth. Slowly, but surely, the girls began to respond more often. Eyes followed him, tiny blinks, a twitch of fingers. After a month, the older twin managed a single word, "Ma," though it was unsteady, almost a groan. The mother cried again, this time, full of fragile hope. She stayed longer by the beds, watched, waited. For the first time she dared to touch their hands without gloves, to whisper prayers instead of sobs. Breaking out of the cage, real progress. As weeks turned to months, the hospital began to change, not just for the twins, but around them. The mother installed a small rocking chair. A window changed so sunlight touched the twin beds in the morning. Soft blankets replaced institutional ones. A small stereo replaced the permanent hum of machines. Ethan introduced small tools to communicate. Blocks with simple pictures, cards with emotions, soft toys with buttons that played recorded messages. The twins, slowly, haltingly, learned to point, to nod, to press buttons. In time, they formed rudimentary words. The first full sentence came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. The younger twin pressed a card showing a rose, then pointed to the window where sunbeams danced. A faint, shaky voice whispered, "Light, home." The mother fell silent. Inside, heartbreak and relief wove together. Then she pulled Ethan aside. With humility she had never known, she apologized for doubting, not the girls, but the possibility that hope could come from a mop and broom rather than medicine. The ripple effect, healing beyond the room. News spread quietly at first, hospital staff, then friends of the family, then a charity worker who volunteered to help. The twins' case became a story of what compassion and patience could do, even when science failed. Other paralyzed or unreachable children began to be visited by those who believed, artists, volunteers, simple people with time and heart. The mother donated funds to transform the hospital room into a small, healing room, with soft lighting, music, art therapy, a sanctuary rather than a ward. Ethan continued working nights, but now with a new title whispered among staff, the man who listened. For his daughter at home, knowing her father was a hero, not one who fought wars or made fortunes, but one who saved hearts, filled her with pride. Final act, voices, tears, and hope restored. One crisp morning, as golden light filtered through the windows, the older twin turned to her mother. Her eyes calm, her voice barely above a whisper, but unmistakable. "Mom, I love you." Silence followed, then tears, soft sobs of disbelief, of gratitude, of love rediscovered. The younger twin squeezed her mother's hand, then looked at Ethan, blinking upward. "Thank you." No fanfare, no cameras, just simple words, more powerful than any rescue, more healing than any operation. And the mother, once fearful, isolated, broken, lifted the janitor into a hug. The man who had no titles, no degrees, no certificates. But who had the most important skill of all, a heart. He had done more than help them speak. He helped them hope. Sparkles the takeaway. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from machines. Sometimes, not from white coats or diplomas. Sometimes, it comes from a voice that simply refuses to give up. A presence that says, "You are seen. You matter." We're often conditioned to believe that only the trained, the qualified, can fix what's broken. But this story reminds us, compassion, patience, and unwavering faith can break through even the deepest silence. Because on the other side of despair, there might just be a gentle whisper waiting to become a voice. And a single janitor, a working father looking for dignity, might be that whisper bringer. If you like this story, I can also write a short script structure, scene by scene, that fits a 15-minute video, ideal if you want to turn it into a YouTube video. Do you want me to build that script for you?